Alright guys, so we're going to pretty much skip the intro on this. Obviously the main reason is because this is breaking news and it's not the regular show, so just skipping the intro on it. Okay, as some of you may have heard, Julian Assange has been arrested, and I have some quite strong feelings about this. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's have a discussion, and let's tell you exactly what's actually going on, because this situation is a lot more complicated than what people even know about. So obviously we'll go through, we'll do answer some facts, get some facts out there, and actually let you know exactly what is actually happening. Okay, so the first things first is this: Julian Assange has been arrested by the US after being arrested. The US has been charged by the US after being arrested by the UK police in Ecuadorian embassy. Now, this is a little bit of an understatement from SBS News. Basically, they dragged him out. They went into the Ecuadorian embassy and dragged him out of there. So yeah, it's kind of a scary thought to actually have a journalist who's literally been dragged out of his house or where he's been living and been dragged out and arrested and thrown into a van. This is very Llewellyn state. This is 1984 Llewellyn state, like rounding up journalism, and that's what Julian Assange is. Before I continue, I'm joined by Satellite of Discontent. Say hello.
Hello.
He's sitting outside, so we're going to try and keep this under 10 minutes so that way he doesn't get piles. But yeah, like I say, look, obviously at the end of the day, this is huge. This is Llewellyn state. This is 1984. You know, governments going in, dragging journalists out of their houses or where they're currently residing or whatever it may be, whatever you want to call the broom closet that Julian was living in, and basically dragging him out and throwing him into the back of a van. This is some pretty scary stuff. Now, obviously, guys, also too, before we continue, please give this video a huge share. Because Canada doesn't apparently want you to see it. Interesting enough. We'll get to that obviously later. But yeah, guys, obviously these videos have been restricted in some countries too, but we'll get to that. So we do actually maybe have footage of Julian being arrested.
You will notice the lack of Ecuadorian officials doing anything about these police just walking into an Ecuadorian embassy. Yeah,
well, there's a big reason why they're not caring, and we're going to actually get to the real reason in a sec. So yeah, we'll actually go through it and talk about the real reason why he's been arrested, what's in this. People are probably asking what's in this for Ecuador and stuff like that. But let's watch this video. You can literally see him dragging him out of there. Like, he's trying to resist and they're literally dragging him out of the building.
No worries.
The whole time he's saying the UK must resist. Alright, so that's the actual scene, is what you actually get to see him. You get to see him dragging him out of the house, throw into a van. Obviously his physical state has deteriorated since the last time he's been public. He's got the whole beard going, the hybrid beard, stuff like that. I'm not going to shit on him for his appearance. Like, he's literally been in a broom closet for the past 7 years. So, I'm not surprised that he's looking a little, hairy, so to speak. But look, at the end of the day, obviously the US has wasted no time in filing extradition treaty. Because apparently that wasn't something you was going to do. Didn't we hear a few years ago about how they weren't interested in proceeding after Julian? But now they seemingly are interested. Like, didn't the UK at one point say that he was free to walk from the embassy and that he wouldn't be charged? I seem to remember something about that. But now all of a sudden they're dragging him out. So what were you going to say?
Yeah. Oh, they were lies. And just another thing. It's... The only good side to this video is confirmation that he's alive.
Well, it's true.
I really thought he was dead.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of things where people were saying that videos were fake and everything like that, and they were demanding proof of life. I'm very happy he is in custody. Why, PSI, if you don't mind me asking? Why are you happy he's been in custody? But like I say, look, obviously the one thing about this is obviously it's going to push this forward. It's going to push the case forward. It's going to push the fact that well, Trump literally has to do something about it now. The question is what is Trump going to do? But before we get to that, so little update. The US has gone through, has put in extradition treaties to go through and to get Julian arrested, right? He's currently sitting, I believe, in a cell at the moment. He's going to get charged with the Lord's Court. I think it's Lord's Court. Within 24 hours. And most likely he'll be extradited straight to the US, to where he's facing charges. Now, there have been court cases revolving Chelsea Manning. Let me see if I can find those cases. How do you spell Chelsea? C-H-E-A-L-S-I-E.
It's C-H-E-L-S-E-A.
S-E-A. So Chelsea was recently dragged into court. She was actually... And we knew something was going on because... well, they went after her. And apparently they've done it again. Here's an update on this situation. Oh no, sorry, yeah. So here she was here. Full credit to Chelsea Manning, whether you like her or not, or you like her policies or not, she did not back down. So Chelsea Manning moved out of solitary confinement after 4 weeks, Rep says, was jailed for refusing to testify. Chelsea Manning has been transferred to general population after a judge found in her contempt of court last month for refusing to go before a grand jury probing WikiLeaks, her representative said on Thursday. Update on the Manning came via her Twitter account, which appears to have been actively managed during her time behind bars. After 28 days of so-called administration segregation or solitary confinement, Chelsea has finally been moved into general population at Tuscan Detention Centre, her account tweeted. Her team went on to extend Manning's appreciation for those who supported her, urge her followers to donate money to her legal team and keep up with working on her case. The thing is that PSI, that's actually demonstrably false. They've actually said that they cannot prove that anything that Julian has leaked is, at the end of the day, has caused any of the soldiers or any allied soldiers to be in arms danger. That's a talking point from the deep state. So, yeah, they've even admitted that themselves. They said they cannot prove that anything that he has leaked has caused that. Also, you got to remember, too, at the end of the day, that he's just a journalist. If you have a problem with the data that was leaked, then at the end of the day, that would be with Chelsea Manning, not with Julian Assange. So, yeah. If you have a problem with Julian, for example, being arrested, not being arrested. Oh, so if you don't have a problem with him being arrested, then what's next? CNN, MSNBC, ABC, Fox, Daily Wire. How many of these other journalists or YouTubers or whatever should we start rounding up and arresting? So, anyone visits and reads, yes, but cheesy, they have been redacted. What we actually see on WikiLeaks is redacted information. So you're not able to go on there, for example, now and go through and find out classified information because it was redacted before being released. That's something else that they're not talking about. The act of releasing is the act of releasing. Criminal. It's not, though. He's a publisher. He is entitled to release the information. Like I say, if you have a problem with the information being leaked, then at the end of the day, then you have a problem with who leaked it, not by the information that's been leaked itself. And that's the difference. If you want to talk about should Chelsea Manning be charged, then I would say, yeah, she should be. I don't agree with her being charged, but technically by the law, yes, she should be charged. Same with Snowden. Technically, Snowden did break the law when he stole the data from the NSA. But the fact is that Julian Assange has just published the information like a publisher. Yeah, well, the thing is we already know because the Department of Justice under Obama has already talked about this. But we'll get to that in a second, man. Obviously, the Assange Ecuadorian extradition news tightens with Panama Papers, and this is what it's all about, right? So the reason why Ecuador has recently gone through and tossed out Julian Assange, this is all, yeah, it's all deep state, but we'll get to that. So the reason why they're tossing out Julian Assange is because he published the INA papers. Now, what the INA papers are is basically the current government of Ecuador is under conspiracy charges or under corruption charges at the moment. And that is what this is all about. So, obviously they're pissed that Julian has released this information regarding the corruption charges with Ecuadorian Prime Minister. Local population voting record is around 18%, I believe it was. His ratings are in the gutter, and he's pissed. He's pissed that Julian has gone through and blown the whistle on these investigation or these charges regarding corruption. So what he's done is he's basically gone through and said, well, hey, you know, you're still interfering in elections, and they've gone through and removed his safety or his safety net. But the reason is because they're pissed because of these INA papers. I might do a separate story just on the INA papers because it's really, really easy. Really interesting, sorry. But yeah, here it is here. Monday, Foreign Minister Jose Vigdiria denied recent allegations that his government is a high-level source within Ecuadorian state had informed them that Ecuador President Lino Moreno was plotting to expel the publisher within hours to a day. No, we're not going to do that. Don't be silly. 2 days later. Oh, shit. Cited in the INA papers as a pretext under which they would oust him. The INA papers, a leaked batch of documents that include Moreno's personal emails, text messages, and family photos, have allegedly exposed his involvement in the corruption and money laundering via an offshore company. As well as the operation against Julian Assange, Moreno has since denied any wrongdoing, but the leak, which he contributed to WikiLeaks, has led to corruption investigation into Moreno's activities conducted by the Ecuador National Assembly. WikiLeaks' recent statement have also escalated tension between the Ecuadorian government and Assange, who has maintained political asylum at the embassy since 2012. Yeah.
No, that's pretty spicy because him releasing the documents has led to the investigation.
Yeah. And that's why they don't like him. They don't like Assange because he can move mountains, so to speak. Now, look, obviously I'm biased when it comes to this. He's one of my heroes, which is why I tend to not take any crap from people about, you know, this whole bullshit. Obviously, also, it's pretty close to home, too, Because if they can start arresting Assange, what about me? What about Styx? What about InfoWars? What about CNN, MSNBC? So, yeah. His lawyer is speaking right now. Oh, I think it's his lawyer. Whereabouts is that? Have you got a link to that, man? Is that like on RT or Fox News?
This sets a dangerous precedent
Here we
for
are.
all media organisations and journalists in Europe and elsewhere around the world. This precedent means that any journalist can be extradited for prosecution in the United States for having published truthful information about the United States.
While you're waiting for the link,
I've just been with Mr. Assange in the
look at
police
the line as
cells.
well?
He wants to
it's
thank
up.
all of his supporters for their ongoing support, and he said, "I told you so."
Well, the only thing to add to this is the fact that this is a dark day for journalism. As Jennifer said, this sets a precedent. We don't want this to go forward. This has to be averted. The UK government needs to make a full assurance that a journalist will never be extradited to the United States for publishing activity. This pertains to publishing work 9 years ago. Publishing of documents, of videos of the killing of innocent civilians, exposure of war crimes. This is journalism. It's called conspiracy. It's conspiracy to commit journalism. So this has to end, and we urge everybody to support Julian Assange in fighting this extradition. Thank you.
What legal avenues are available to you to prevent his extradition?
We will be contesting and fighting extradition. We've requested that he now gets medical treatment. He's been refused medical treatment for the past 7.5 years, 7 years since being inside the embassy. We will be fighting extradition, and he'll be brought before the court again within the next month.
How is he now?
We're not going to be taking any more questions today. Thank you very much.
You were asking about the elements in the extradition request. It is quite obvious that the US authorities have picked just one element of what they have been working on for a long time, including the Espionage Act, acts that have decades in prison. There is no assurance that there will not be additional charges when he is on US soil, and I think and I believe that this was an angle in the approach to increase the likelihood of him being extradited. That is obvious.
Do you have anything to say
Thank
about
you.
the Ecuadorian embassy and the way he was arrested this morning?
So there we go. There's a statement from them there. So what we covered. We covered the INA papers. We got an update. Thank you, by the way, for chat. Cheers for letting us know. So it's not just about the INA papers. And there's more to this than what we actually have already covered. So, Ecuador. Ecuador was refused a $1.1 billion deal because of Julian Assange. Ecuador says, but don't worry, that was later overturned. And then a few months later, Julian is pulled out of the embassy. It might be like those two things are linked. So Ecuador says it received $500 million from repo deal with Goldman Sachs. Ecuador's government said on Friday that it had received $500 million from the repo purchase agreement with Wall Street bank Goldman Sachs as the 18 country seeks to plunge its financial deficit. The $500 million is due as a repo operation with Goldman Sachs in which bonds were used as collateral, Financial Minister Richard Maranzos told reporters. The deal had a rate of 3 months London intern bank offer rate, LIBOR plus 4.25%, the Economic and Financial Ministry said in a statement. In addition to the bank deal, it lent Ecuador $237.6 million for social services and $250 million to help complete construction of a subway system in Quito, the ministry said. So, what happened was they went through and tried to get money for this infrastructure upgrade for the subway system, and for social services. They were denied, and they were sort of said, well, hey, you know, if you're my impersonation or my opinion of it is that they've turned around and said, hand over Assange, we'll free up the money, and there's sort of been a deal made. That would be my assumption about this.
I would say that's right.
Yeah. I find it really, really weird that this 500 million from repo from Goldman and Sachs and whatnot was literally approved 7 months ago, and 7 months later, Julian is literally pulled out of the embassy. He's been there for 7 years. So why were they only making a move 7 months after this deal? It seems like it's a little weird. It's a little coincidental, some would say. But yeah, obviously, US did not waste any time putting extradition requests on Assange. Terrible precedent for journalists, publishers to end up in the US jail for Iraq war logs and deep state cables. Edward Snowden has talked about this today as well. The weakness of the US charges against Assange is shocking. The allegation he tried and failed to help crack a password during the world-famous reporting has been public for nearly a decade. It's the count Obama's DOJ refused to charge, saying it endangered journalism. WikiLeaks is a publisher. Charges now brought in connection with this material or any attempt to extradite Assange to the United States for prosecution under the deeply flawed cathedral of the Espionage Act, 1917, is an attack on all of us. And obviously that is the Center of Investigation of Investigative Journalism. So yeah, that's basically what it's all about. At the end of the day, Ecuador, Moreno wanted $1.1 billion to help build a subway system and social system. It was denied. 7 months later, Julian Assange, or 6 months or 5 months later, actually, Assange puts out the IPA papers, or INA, sorry, papers, which basically lists Monaro's government as obviously being corrupt. And 2 months after that, Assange is pulled out of the embassy. Literally, and then extradited straight to the US. Now, we should talk about the Sweden charges. All Swedish charges against sexual allegations have dropped. They were found to be inconsistent or not available or fake. But yeah. Can you cover for a second, man? Just for literally a second? I need
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's good news that Sweden dropped those charges. But at this point, why would you go after that anyway? They're going to extradite him to the US. Let's wait and see. What's going to be the most interesting part of this? It's going to be what Trump does next. And I don't have a lot of faith that Trump is actually going to intervene and pardon Assange. But if he does, that's going to be another notch in his belt of doing the right thing. As far as getting him out of the country, well, yeah, I think the INA papers is one of the main things. Definitely sounds like that would have pissed him off. They got him out of the country, and the money for the infrastructure projects, yeah, that's basically the deep state using that as a blackmail.
Yeah.
And I think it's a scary precedent to see that, you're going to blackmail a country's future because you want one man, really?
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, look, obviously we're assuming here, we're using our judgment, whatever you might want to say. But the fact is that at the end of the day, I don't find it weird that Ecuador was suddenly denied this bank loan, and then all of a sudden, oh no, we'll give you the bank loan, and now 7 months later, Julian Assange has literally been pulled out by the scruff of his hair. So yeah, I don't find that weird, and I think that this INA papers, is it? I keep saying IPO, it's INA, isn't it? Yeah, INA. I don't think this INA papers. Look, I don't know. Maybe they used these INA papers to get him out. Maybe it was a case of check. I don't know. That maybe go through, release some of this information, and see if they can get him out on those charges. I don't know. This seems to me like it was a plan. Like, you know, like, well, we need some reason to get rid of him. Hey, the INA papers were just leaked. That made us look terribly, terribly bad. But yeah,
I mentioned earlier while you were gone, I don't have a lot of faith actually that Trump will intervene and pardon him. What's your take on that?
Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because as someone just said in chat, and I'm actually checking it out himself.
Yeah, he might have brought it up because I was talking about it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find. I can't see where he's talking about it on Twitter, which is where he normally tweets about this sort of stuff. In chat, someone is saying that Donald Trump is saying he's uncomfortable with it.
Well, like how hard as a president do you want to push against the deep state, huh?
Well, that's the thing. And that's what this could be all about. Like, I'd like to say, in a perfect world, Trump pardons Julian Assange, and
well, here's the thing: Julian Assange has accrued a list of enemies, a laundry list of enemies that are extremely wealthy and powerful. Trump, gosh, he would be uncomfortable because, my goodness, even the most powerful man on the planet probably can't go against that.
Well, maybe he can. Like, Trump has already declared war on the deep state. And here's the thing now. Mueller investigation is over.
Yeah, he can take the gloves off.
Yeah. This is another case of the government not working for its people. I would agree with that, Ashley McGruff. And look, I get the military people who are, you know, like, he released classified information. Okay, that information was censored. Okay, he hasn't released. They still can't prove anything that he's released has actually gone through and put any U.S. soldier's life in danger. Okay. He did censor the information or redact parts of the information before he went through and released it. And no one is actually saying that the information is wrong. Here's the thing with Hillary Clinton and stuff, right? That they never said the information wasn't right. It's a Styx Hexenhammer, I think, probs on Fox News interview. Oh, okay, maybe, yeah. So he might have said something on Fox News. But at the end of the day, they haven't said anything that Julian Assange has said has been wrong. They've just said that he's released government classified information. And if it was really about this Bush war, right? Say all the military guys are right. Maybe let's just hypothetically say that Julian Assange has gone through and he's released classified information that put US soldiers in danger, right? Let's just hypothetically say that. Why now? Why such the move now to get him after the 2016 election? Sure, they were after him beforehand, right? He was holding up in the embassy and everything like that. But there seems to be a huge amounts of pressure since 2016 to go after Assange. That's the thing.
2020.
Well, now, yeah, obviously because of 2020. But, you know, if it was just about the Iraq war, right? If it's not the deep state losing their shit, because he helped Trump win the 2016 election, right? If it's just the fact that he's published classified information that put people's lives at risk, which I disprove, which I believe is a lot of crap, but just say, hypothetically, that is right. Why are they going after Assange with a newfound vengeance after the 2016 election? Why did they wait until after that to go after him with this new gusto that they seem to have been emboldened with? If this is about...
What if it's all connected?
It is. That's my argument. Is that the reason why they're going after Assange is because of the 2016 cable leaks that screwed over Hillary Clinton. They blame Assange, and probably rightfully so, they blame Assange for leaking the classified information or Hillary's emails that he was given by another party. We don't know who, but we can presume Sethridge. And at the end of the day, I reckon that's what it's all about. The reason why they're going after him is because of this 2016 election where Hillary Clinton lost. This is all about them flipping the table because their candidate lost the election. And that's what my argument is all about. This has nothing to do with classified information. To be honest, that war's long gone. And they still haven't been able to prove anybody in that was actually put in harm's way or put in danger or put in danger for example, for this stuff, right? So they can't even prove that. But to me, this is what it's all about. 2016 election, Hillary loses, the deep state loses their mind. They go after Julian Assange because they blame him. They can't get him because he's in the US embassy for Ecuador. So they go through it. They withhold the money. They withhold the $1.1 billion for the funds for the infrastructure upgrades and the social systems. Ecuador then caves, turns around and says, "Okay, we'll work with you to get Assange out." They get the money approved. Literally a week later, 6 months later, 5 months later, the INA papers gets released. Assange is now able to be pulled out of the embassy, kicking and screaming, literally screaming resist, because at the end of the day, he's broken their terms when it comes to releasing information regarding the Renora or whatever his name may be, and the US then turns around and literally hands him over. The UK hands him over to the US probably tomorrow to have him extradited to the US to face charges. Meanwhile, the whole time, they're trying to throw Chelsea Manning in jail. After 4 weeks, she was thrown in solitary confinement after 4 weeks. Jail for refusing to testify. Who was she supposedly testifying against? And this is fairly recent. Like, this story is 6 days ago. This has nothing to do with her original court appearance. Why was Chelsea Manning back in court being asked to testify? Maybe it was about Assange the whole time, which we already knew, but, you know. Chelsea Manning has been refused to transfer to general population. What does it say here? Earlier this week, Manning's legal team to file a motion with the Federal Appeals Court in Virginia, fighting for her to be released on bail while the judge's order is appealed. Manning previously served 7 years in prison for leaking military and diplomatic documents to WikiLeaks. And that's what I think this is, and obviously this is Fox News, deep state. Look, and people always get shitty when I say that, but the truth is that Fox News is paid oppo. It is deep state, right? They might be pro-Trump sometimes when it obviously suits their agenda, but the general gist is that they're deep state. You get a few people on there like Hannity and stuff like that, who's obviously independent, but the organisation itself is part of the establishment. What do you think?
Yeah, I also feel like as we've watched a lot of things unfold over the past few weeks, that there is a general push to censor and get rid of anything that they deem a danger to 2020, maybe. We see Facebook is trying to basically get rid of anything to do with politics. We just found out that, not long ago that YouTube doesn't even want to monetize channels that cover politics. They don't want that content. They don't want to partner with it anymore. It does seem like they're trying to consolidate everything back into the mainstream. You'd look at Article 13, which is all about that sort of thing too, trying to prevent people like you and me covering the news.
Yeah.
I think this is just the latest in the move against anything to do with information. Spreading information. I think at the end of the day, it's our right to know what's going on, and I'm always going to be very supportive of independent journalists. And I think this is chilling as well. This is possibly also a move that's going to be chilling to anyone else out there who thinks that they might be able to take the space that WikiLeaks has now lost. I don't think anyone is going to want to step up and replace this, because this is setting a precedent.
Well, this is the thing, right? Them arresting Julian Assange is more of a symbolism than it is about actually taking down WikiLeaks. He hasn't had or bulk of his internet access for a while now. He's not actually running WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is an independent organization. It's running itself at this stage. So he's not even running WikiLeaks at the moment. So they're not even going to affect WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is still going to be there tomorrow. WikiLeaks will still be there in a year.
For all intents and purposes, yes, because they released on Twitter the death keys last year, and he wasn't dead. We clearly now know he's not dead. No. But they did it anyway, because at the end, he wasn't able to run the company. He couldn't do anything. Well, it's not even a company. I mean, he just couldn't do anything. So let's just decrypt the data, put the death keys out. Let's run it by itself without Julian.
Yeah. And he has
I think taking down Julian is a chill.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's quite chilling that they've actually gone through. And let's also talk about the narrative too, that it's illegal to read the WikiLeaks that lovely CNN and Washington Post have claimed. and hopefully someone who's actually a member of our Discord is actually watching this. No, it's not. It's not illegal to read WikiLeaks. So Chris Como seems to be following his Big Brother lead when it comes to the First Amendment. On CNN, Chris Como said, also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents, Chris says. It's different for the media, so everything you're learning about this, you're learning from us. Don't read the documents yourself. Trust us to give you the censored version, is what he actually means. Mr. Kono, I don't say this lightly, but you're eating the Olive Garden. I just can't think of a worse insult to lob at the Italian, but yes, I went there. I'm not sure if he's confused, lying, or just misspoken, but let's just make sure that no matter his motivation, you, my dear readers, understand A, it isn't true, and B, don't eat the Olive Garden. Let's just skip the point B for the sake of brevity. Let's do it the feeling. Okay, so it's not illegal for you to read WikiLeaks. It's not illegal for you to download documents from WikiLeaks. You do not need to rely on the media to spoon-feed you documents from WikiLeaks. The Olive Garden is not Italian food. So yeah, and it goes on to go through and explain why it's not illegal. But at the end of the day, there is no difference between Julian Assange publishing documents that he might be recovering or that he might have been given, because he didn't hack them himself. Let's know that for a fact. There's no difference between him publishing the documents, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, SBS, YouTubers, or anybody like that. The fact is that we're all supposed to be protected for the freedom of press. And that's something that a lot of people who are against Julian Assange do not admit. Or don't want to admit. That at the end of the day, if you go after one of them, you know, who's next? CNN? Like, this is getting into some Llewellyn deep state shit. Like, this is bad. Like, this is really bad to have him rounded up and arrested. But I kind of hope that Trump will go through, will pardon Julian Assange. And who knows, maybe Assange will actually give information to Donald Trump's cabinet about the DNC hack. Maybe we can find out who actually hacked the DNC. I don't want to say this is a good thing, but at the end of the day, maybe there'll be a light at the end of the tunnel now. Maybe he doesn't have to worry about living in a broom closet in the Ecuadorian embassy. Also, I'd like to say I'm disappointed with Australia for their lack of action regarding Julian Assange. I tend to think that is absolutely ridiculous. I think they should have stuck up for Julian Assange. But obviously,
it's a muddy political water, though, because Australia is still under the crown. I don't know how that would work.
Well, he's also an Australian, was an Australian resident too.
Yeah. The other thing too is when it comes to Julian Assange, like being arrested, right? He hasn't actually done anything illegal, right? Like technically, he hasn't done anything illegal.
No. So that's the key. That's the interesting thing. Is technically he hasn't done anything illegal. What they're trying to go is they're trying to go in on the Espionage Act. Cheeseburger says
he didn't commit the espionage.
Well, no, but that's not going to stop him from trying. Cheeseburger says in chat, what came out was good. I don't want to be looking at the military as a monster. Shit's going to change. And that's, look, I want to talk, because obviously I'm a patriot, right? I have people that are military service family. I support the military. I don't know how many times I've said this in previous videos. With what came out, it wasn't a reflection on the military people itself. It's not a reflection on the guys that are service members who are just following orders. What it is, it's a reflection on the higher-ups. It's a reflection on the deep state. It's a reflection on the people who run the military. And that's the difference. And that's why they're pissed off, because it made the US military look bad. You know, they were blowing up civilians. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, this shit. I'm sorry, but if you're killing civilians, it does need to come out. It does need to be exposed. No, regardless of how many people's feelings might get hurt, you're blowing up civilians. That needs to come out. That needs to be discussed. And I think bringing it out into the light and talking about it is a good thing, because it goes through and maybe it'll stop it from happening in the future. But I don't know. Apart from all that, is there anything else that we should talk about, or anything you want to say, or?
Well, yeah. Just remember that this is probably the worst of it so far. The censorship going after journalism now. We have seen some pretty chilling things here in Australia, just, you know, to do with journalists being able to be thrown in prison for lengthy prison times. I think we covered this many months ago. And yeah, you know, this is just a continuation of it. Just how far is the deep state going to go? Well,
we found out
this
today.
Tells us, yeah. This tells us that they're willing to go all the way, and if they have to start blackmailing countries, they don't care. I think they don't even care about the optics anymore. No. They're just going in.
No. And guys, look, yeah. I want to say, if you ever get a chance to go through and to watch a show or watch a documentary, and you are interested in this sort of stuff, with especially Edward Snowden, there is a really good documentary. Let me see if I can find it. It's actually on my multimedia that I rented. Multimedia's turned off. I think it's called Passenger 44. Hang on, let me look it up. Edward Snowden documentary.
Oh, Citizen. Sorry, it's Citizen.
Citizen 4.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the story of Julian Assange, right?
But it's actually
wait.
the story of Edward Snowden.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, Edward Snowden. Yes.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it also deals with WikiLeaks as well, and WikiLeaks plans for Edward Snowden, and them trying to help him get out of was it Hong Kong? I think it was. So yeah, it's a really, really good documentary. It goes for about an hour and a half. It's really worthwhile watching. If you get a chance, watch Citizen 4, because it shows you how far the US military is willing to go in order to get somebody that they think is a threat. Like there was literally reports in this about them going through, and there was reports that Edward Snowden was going to be flying on a plane. I think it was an Ecuadorian plane, and it's a diplomatic immunity. And the US literally forced this plane to land, believing that that Edward was actually on the plane. Now, this mightn't sound like much, but this is literally the US military forcing a diplomatic immunity plane to the ground, to land. That's scary. That is, yeah, literally really scary.
It really shows. It does show, doesn't it? Like some countries on this planet get to do whatever they want. Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
but probably. Sorry.
There are certain kinds of weapons that are not allowed to be used in Australia, America. They still use them. Phosphor is one of those things, I believe. And cluster grenades is another one.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. Apart from that, anything else we want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I'd say we should wrap it up, yeah.
Yeah. No worries, guys. Look, obviously... Yep.
Pamela Anderson will probably have something to say. Just throw some humour in there.
Yeah. Look, surprising. Look, I always suspected that Pamela was a little bit of a bimbo. And I mean that in a non-way. But she's actually well connected with all this. She's already tweeted out, it's a pinned tweet, that actually is the donation link for WikiLeaks. And she has also retweeted Julian being carried out. She retweeted it 6 hours ago. She was one of the first few people to talk about this.
Yeah, she's I don't know if like they're dating or something. I don't know what's going on there, but she's been very supportive of him. Yeah.
Hey, can we just say that she looks amazing for her age?
Yeah.
Like I'll post. I'm gonna. Holy goddamn! Like, how old is she now? What, 40?
Yeah. Coincidentally, I just saw a story about Charlize Theron also, and she's like 43, I think, and she looks fantastic too.
Like, there's a picture of what she looks like now. Like, god damn. Yeah. Like, if I ever get arrested and Pamela comes and visits me and I'm hiding out in some embassy, it's probably going to be the highlight of my day. But yeah, I'm in shock. I couldn't hear clearly what he said. It looks very bad. How could you, Ecuador? Because he exposed you? How could you, UK? Of course, you're America's BITCH. And you never a diversion of your idiotic Brexit bullshit. Then she wrote, and the US, a toxic coward of a president. He needs to rally his base. You are selfish and cruel. You have taken the entire world backwards. You are devils, liars, and thieves, and you will rot, and we will rise. So some pretty strong words there coming from Pamela Anderson.
Yeah. Not bad.
So yeah, I'm gonna retweet that, but yeah. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, obviously, guys, as for Julian, look, obviously, we will keep you guys up to date on it. Yeah, we'll keep you up to date. Pamela never did it for me. No, she never used to do it for me either. But that photo where she's in that, like, that's sort of doing it for me, actually.
Oh, well, your cat seems to also agree.
Yeah, my cat. The pussy's going wild. All right, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Apart from that, guys, obviously, please feel free to give this video a huge share. We also, we forgot to mention very quickly. So apparently, some of these videos have been banned over in Canada. So Temple, let's very quickly talk about this. Temple has put out a video where he is admitting that his video views are way down, and we have had someone in chat, Discord, who tried to access the video that we posted a link to. I can access it, obviously you can access it, but he could not access it when he was in Canada. So let's quickly post that link here. And we'll quickly play this for a couple
news update. Julian
and we'll sorry, and it's saying views are way down, and I've gotten several reports that this video is blocked. Seeing reports that have hit several other channels. I don't know if I have anyone from Canada actually watching this, or if anybody can watch it. We'll probably ask one of our little little experts whether he can access the video, but let's jump into this.
Assange has been arrested. If you didn't see the news, British police went into the Ecuador.
So, okay, he's just going to talk about Julian had been arrested. But yeah, he's literally saying, alert, YouTube suppressing this video. It's had 64,000 views at the moment. But he normally gets, a lot more than that. And this is sort of a breaking story too. Yeah. So, thoughts?
My guess, we don't have a big list on it. I think we only know of Canada for sure. But if I was a betting man, I would put it all of Europe, Canada, and probably some other small countries around. Australia, not yet, but hey, I mean, that maybe people haven't gotten up yet. And they go, oh, we better censor that.
Josh just said in chat, all Assange videos were being blocked when I tried to watch them, but obviously he can watch this one. See, this is where us being a smaller channel probably is going to help, because they might overlook us.
Well, we're live. Maybe that's another difference too. After processing, that could change.
Also, he just said my thumbs up button is being unclicked on all videos for weeks now. Yeah. Are you in Canada, Josh?
I've had that too.
Yeah, Josh, are you in Canada, man? If you don't mind me asking. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, it seems to be Canada. If you're in Canada and you can't watch this video, then I don't know why I'm saying this sentence, because you can't watch this video. But try a VPN. That might work. Try bouncing off Australia or America. But yeah, at the end of the day, at the moment, yeah. I'm bouncing off.
Good question.
Sorry.
To Josh in the chat, is that on mobile? Because I'm having the same problem. I hit like on a video, and it goes grey, like a little bit after. It doesn't happen to every channel, only some channels. That's very interesting.
And he's Detroit, so that's US. So you think at the end of the day he would be able to access the video because of the freedoms. But thumbs up works for me.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
it works for me too.
It was the like button.
Yeah, no, but he was saying all Assange videos were being blocked when I tried to watch them. He said.
Oh, well, but videos can be blocked in the US too, though, because remember, YouTube is a private company that can do whatever it wants.
Yeah. Yes, mobile. When I scroll away and go back up, it's unblocked. It's unclicked. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's exactly what happens to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look, guys, obviously, if you are in Canada, or if you can't see this video, like I say, I don't know why I'm telling you what to do, because you can't see it, but try bouncing off America VPN. At the moment, I've got my VPN up and running, which is actually maybe why I'm able to access the Assange stuff.
No, I'm not using VPN, and I can access it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, in Australia, it appears that we can still access it. And obviously, at the end of the day, yeah, it seems to be Canada is causing a bit of problems at the moment with people trying to read it. And this is why I say us being a smaller channel may actually come into a benefit, because look, we might be able to slide under the radar. I was going to throw my subscription page and all live and record vids relating to Assange. Said this video is unavailable. Yeah, that's what one of our friends was getting. He was saying that it was not available in Canada or something like that. So, but guys, yeah, apart from that, anything else you want to say, or should we go, or whatever? Obviously we'll be doing the live show.
I think we have truly remembered everything. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, obviously this is how it's going to work though. As soon as you hit stop, within 20 minutes some other big thing comes up about it, but what can you do?
Yeah, and look, Christine Assange is actually following me on Twitter, so I might reach out to her and see if I can get comment. Yeah, I have spoken to her occasionally, every now and then, so who knows? Maybe I can get a comment from Mrs. Assange. Obviously I'm going to express my sympathies for her and Assange being arrested. But yeah, I don't know. Sad day for journalism. Sad day for freedom of press. And obviously, guys, we will be doing the live show in a matter of hours, like literally like 8 hours, 7 hours. Hopefully you'll be awake. If not, solo again. I better let you get to bed. But yeah, but obviously, guys, we'll be doing the live show in about 7 hours, so obviously tune into that. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. This is the sort of shit that we get up to, which is probably why we're so censored. But hopefully everybody enjoyed the live show, and look, guys, my internet held up. I'm impressed. When do you sleep? I don't. I'm actually AI. Shh, don't tell anybody. No, I just recently got up. But yeah. I'm going to go and play Star Citizen for a bit. And sort of relax. And yeah, do the live show.
There's a Deus Ex reference to that. A journalist who's an AI.
Yes, that's why I said it. Good game, actually. But anyway. Apart from that, guys, everybody, fourth time's a charm. Have a great night. Enjoy. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to post it. Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, Gab, everywhere else. And apart from that, guys, obviously, we will see you when we do the live show, or vice versa. Apart from that, everybody, enjoy. Have a great night. Bon voyage. Say bye.
Cheers.
Catch you guys.